We're back. All 47 Republican senators, that's all the Republicans in the Senate, recently signed on to a proposed balanced budget amendment that would cap spending by the federal government at 18% of the country's gross national product or gross domestic product. And Congress would be prohibited from raising taxes unless approved by a vote of at least two-thirds vote in both houses of Congress. All of it, though, could be waived during wartime. So why are Republicans doing this? And do they think they can get this amendment passed in either house? Joining me are two MSNBC political analysts, Ezra Klein of the Washington Post, who wrote a good analysis of this, and David Corn of Mother Jones. Ezra, I'm looking at this thing. It doesn't look like even a workable document. And I've been following, ever since I got into politics, covering it or working for politicians, they've been talking about balanced budget amendments, this doomsday machine that's going to come in and solve all our problems. Why do they keep going to that kind of mechanism? Why don't they just pass a balanced budget?
I guess it's messaging, but it isn't workable. This is such a stringent amendment that Paul Ryan's roadmap would be unconstitutional under it. Every year of Ronald Reagan's presidency would be unconstitutional under it. This isn't just something that can't be done. It's something that every time Republicans actually sit down and write a plan about how you would actually run governmental fiscal policy, they realize it also shouldn't be done. So they're not going to try to pass it, but it allows them to look like they're on the side of balanced budgets while Democrats aren't. It's all messaging, but it's really bad economic policy.
Messaging, I think, is important just to get to so they can put out a statement. Only yesterday, I co-sponsored a bill to require a balanced budget. That's a quick letter. You send it to everybody who ever writes you a letter, and you look like a good guy.
And better yet, you say we have all 47 Republicans in the Senate who have sponsored this and not a single Democrat. I mean, there are basically two words can sum this up. Magic pony. I mean, it's just candy. It's political eye candy, and it's not going anywhere. It won't pass.
Okay, let's go.
They're focusing in on it now.
Okay, a lot of people like the sound of it. I want to tell you what here is. Listen to Senator John Cornyn yesterday saying he'll vote against raising the debt ceiling unless this amendment is passed.
I intend to vote against the raising the debt ceiling unless we can get some systemic reforms, the kind the president's own fiscal commission recommended in December of 2010. I think we need to pass a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution that 47 of my colleagues and I rolled out this last week. I hope we can get bipartisan support. We came within one vote in 1997 of a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, which would force the federal government to live within its means instead of spending money we don't have. But that's the price that's going to have to be paid. Systemic reforms in order to get Republican support for raising the debt ceiling. Otherwise, I think you're going to see Democrats having to do that all by themselves.
I don't know how this Rube Goldberg thing works, Ezra, but let's look at this. I'm sure you've studied it. Looking at the text of the bill, I used to work on the Budget Committee for 3 years. Look at this. It says that you can't spend more money than you bring in that year, except you don't know how much money you're going to bring in until September 30th of the fiscal year. How can you enforce that?
You can't. I mean, there is actually an interesting part at the end where they say any court that attempts to enforce it cannot do so by raising taxes. So I think what they're expecting to happen is that in many years it actually wouldn't be done. You wouldn't balance the budget. But then the courts, because they have to enforce the constitutional duties of the Congress, would come in and then do spending cuts on their own. It creates a level of potential judicial activism in the system that is like nothing we've ever experienced before.
Last point, how do you say that the government can only spend 18% of the economy, David Corn, if you don't know how much the economy was? Our economy goes up and down all year.
Chris, you're looking at this too practically.
Okay, I'm reading the bill.
I know, but it's not about making a system that works. This is about just, fooling people into thinking that they care more about the budget being balanced. This is what I'd like to see them do. Okay, Senator Cornyn, you want this? You want this done next year, the year after? Give us the budget that would reflect this. What are you going to cut?
Ronald Reagan was for every balanced budget amendment and never proposed a balanced budget.
They can't do it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Ezra, you're on top of this. Will a couple of the Democrats jump aboard because it just looks too sweet to be on the ship? Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Will Ben Nelson of Nebraska jump aboard the ship? Yes or no?
I wouldn't. I think they might, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. But I just want to say one thing about how you enforce it. It's the year before, so it's 18% of the budget the year of the GDP
that's right.
the year
I
before,
read that.
Which makes it what's even crazier about that is it means it's actually 16.7% of the current year. So we haven't had 16.7 since 1955.
Thank you, Ezra Klein. Good reporting. Good analysis. Thank you, David Corn.